Rollerdrome is a cross between Tony Hawk, a first-person shooter, and the movie Running Man. It's kind of a new sport where players skate for their lives while mowing down bad guys at the same time. This one is a console exclusive to the PS5 and may be one of the best under-the-radar indies this year. While we'd like to think this is set in a dystopian future, actually it's only 8 years away in 2030. You play as Kara Hassan, a skater who wants to take on the Rollerdrome, which is a futuristic blood sport where you've got to skate and shoot for your life against house players. So these are a range of enemies that include melee combatants and also missile-wielding mechs. So much of the game will be taken up chasing high scores via the various challenges, but you've also got a dark mystery to unravel with the story as well. You've got the skating and the action sections of Rollerdrome. They're going to take up most of your time, to be honest, but also you've got the story mode first-person sections as well. Here, you go into the locker room and office before heading out into the main arena, and these story sections, they aren't mandatory. If you don't want to go through them, you can rush through them to get to the action if all you want to do is skate and shoot, although I reckon the story is pretty interesting, so personally I didn't really mind going through those story scenes. This isn't like Neon White, so where the dialogue seemed to go on forever, it's much more manageable in smaller sections of the narrative. Well, the main objective of Rollerdrome is the action, and the game seriously delivers on the vision of a Tony Hawk shooter mashup. Both the skating and the gunplay are happening at the same time, which could be overly complex. However, Roll 7 have found a way to keep it manageable, easy to pick up and tricky to master. It's a good balance of being able to get up and running quickly. Then if you want to get deeper into the mechanics, then you can. As you're skating along, you don't have to worry too much about speed, plus the aiming is quite forgiving, meaning managing both mechanics at the same time is relatively straightforward. While the game is easy to pick up and play, quickly, that doesn't mean it's not challenging by any means. Enemies get really difficult as the levels go by, as do the challenges, which are reminiscent of the original Tony Hawk games. You're going to be tasked with shooting down enemies, then combining that with various tricks and skills to chain together, and that's going to improve your time and flow through a level with each flourish. Levels are predictable with their enemy placement, so you can learn them thoroughly, practice, and then run through them as quickly as possible as you get better and better. Well, the arenas, they are varied, plus the designs of the game make them pop out the screen. The art style is similar to Sable, and then you've got the desert-style arenas, or you've got the American-style malls. The soundtrack complements the game's design with Electric Dragon soundtrack, and that emulates 70s disco and 80s synth. Given this one is on PS5, then the DualSense features have been worked in too, with the controller providing haptic feedback when you're grinding rails and also shooting the various weaponry. You also get the sound of you skating coming through the speakers on the controller, which is a very nice touch. Well, the adaptive triggers are utilised for the weapons as well, making the DualSense a very useful addition to the game. As you make your way around the arena, the visuals and the audio get more intense in parallel to the action. Each kill adds a score multiplier, plus shooting enemies also helps your combos rolling. So ammo didn't really seem to be an issue in Rollerdrome. I did have to slightly be careful, but ammo refills always seem to be within my grasp. Performing tricks help refill weapons, plus all your guns share collective ammo, meaning you can be skating past enemies while charging refills through various tricks, so you can always jump in with a pistol or shotgun, unload a few shots, rush away, charge up again to repeat, and keep those combos rolling in. The gameplay loop is all about speed, movement, shooting and reloading, plus you can improvise as well. New enemies with new abilities are constantly thrown in your way throughout the campaign, but Rollerdrome does a really good job of not overwhelming you. Enemies include riot shielding wearing gun wielding enemies, or you've got enemies with bats to keep things fresh, and they can really mix up the combat variety. There's also a decent slow-mo mechanic where you press the left trigger and aim, and Rollerdrome does slow-mo very well. There's something about the skating and the shooting that works really, really good here, and the slowdown mechanic too. There's a super reflex mode in which you can dodge snipers, missiles and mines while slowing down time, and boosting up the power of your shots as well. Rollerdrome does a great job of making you feel powerful without going too overboard. At first there's a lot going on when you enter the arena, but after a few tries and replays you are going to feel comfortable. Rollerdrome's campaign is roughly 5 or 6 hours or so, plus you've got good post-campaign content as well that opens up for some replayability. Given the nature of the game, you're going to want to go back and play levels over and over again, as that is the nature of this skating and shooting game. Similar to Neon White, you're going to want to go back and beat your times, as the action and the tricks makes you want to come back for more. Well, Rollerdrome is an admirable indie game. It's decent fun, albeit one that gets slightly repetitive in later levels. The game is absolutely gorgeous. More often than not, you've got screenshot and share-worthy action sequences, plus the story development is interesting in this very near-future dystopian world. Roll 7 has had a great year so far with Ollie Ollie World and now Rollerdrome. This is another great indie game that's fun to play, quick to pick up, and also difficult to master. This one is well worth playing. Well, the developer is Roll 7, the publisher is Take-Two Interactive, and also Private Division. It's released for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, and it was originally released on the 16th of August, 2022. I definitely have to thank Roll 7 for providing a code for this review. Well, that is it for my thoughts on Rollerdrome. Really good stuff. And as always, thank you so much for watching or listening. Hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. Or you can check me out on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video, found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Thanks again. I'll see you soon.